Welcome back to Global Book Network. My name is Flobo Boyce, and thank you so much for tuning in to this special episode. And see, a lot of us through life go through our own trials and tribulations and struggles. We kind of figure out, how do we overcome that? Well, to find an answer, we're speaking with our special guest today, Dr. Susan L. Bailey, who wrote the book, Above All, a special meditation and reflection on Psalm 22. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, definitely our pleasure. And it's funny because the first thing I saw was that title. It was arresting, Above All. I mean, that really is a punch to the soul. Talk to me about the title of the book and why you decided to name it that.
Okay. The book is titled Above All because there are several points through the book that I make above all. The first one is above all. I wanted people to know that God is faithful. He keeps his word. So above all, he keeps his word. Above all, he loves us. And above all, Jesus' mission was to please his Father and is to please his Father. And then the other part of the above all that you'll see throughout the book is the devil. Above all, his mission is to have us doubt the love of God, have us doubt that he keeps his word. And those are the points that I hope the reader, when he reads the words above all, as I'm explaining something in the book, it'll trigger those points throughout the book.
What was definitely interesting was the way of the structure of the book. You say it's based in the chapters, but it does come with an interesting perspective. We were talking about that earlier. Could you share the audience about the perspective of the chapters here?
Yes, the book is written from the perspective of a narrator who who knows the thoughts of Jesus while he's on the cross. The entire book is really meant to put you as an audience while Jesus is on the cross, and so that's why it starts with imagine. Imagine that Jesus is on the cross. And so it starts out with him looking down into the Garden of Eden and seeing Adam and Eve make the mistake of disobeying God to become more knowledgeable, to know more. And I make the point in the book that the Eve is innocent, and the serpent presents to her that God is keeping something from her. There are things that she could know, but she doesn't know. And that if she would partake of this fruit, she would know those things. And of course, she doesn't realize that the things that she's going to know are bad things. They're evil things. She doesn't know any evil at all. She doesn't know evil exists. And that is how evil came into the world. And so one of the points I make in the book is that it's not God's fault that there's evil in the world. It's our fault because he had not introduced any evil, but she wanted evil. She wanted to know the difference, but she wanted to know good and evil, but she didn't know the difference between good and evil. She didn't know that was a problem.
When we talk about our own tribulations and things that assail us, I think anyone who's was raised with any semblance of religion kind of looks to the heavens and go, why us? Why does this happen to us? Like what gives the man upstairs, as we say? But it's interesting to see that kind of is a universal experience, and you offer a way of looking at that was definitely kind of a fresh take.
Right. I get perturbed when people write in contracts an act of God. We read and we know that the Garden of Eden was perfect. Do you think there were thunderstorms with lightning striking down the trees? No. All of those things that are the bad side of the good, which is thunder, and lightning, that's just the clashing of warm and cold air. That probably happened, I'm sure, but it didn't cause a problem. And when I say when Adam chose to obey the devil instead of God, he made the devil the god of this world. And the Bible also says that he is the god of this world because Adam had complete dominance. He had complete authority, and he handed that over to the devil. Well, the devil is God's adversary. So God had made a family in his image, And the devil's job was to destroy that, to steal away the complete dominance that was given to Adam and complete authority over the earth. And so Adam just gave it to him. And so when he gave it to him, the devil just turned all the good things to the other side, to bad. So that now when thunder happens, I mean, you can have a fire and burn down a tree. Roses now have thorns, and it actually says that in the Bible. Those things were not there. Waste was not there. There was no need for scavengers to clean up waste because there wasn't any. So that we ushered in the bad things that are here. And I like to bring up in the book that God did not have rules for the Hebrews, actually. They did not have laws until Moses gave them the Ten Commandments. Abraham, who was God's friend, he was not rebuked, he was not punished for telling lies, gave his wife away at least twice. To save his own skin. And when I saw that, I thought, you know what? Something about God we're missing, because he let that slide and got him out of that. And he didn't even ask to get out of it. So there was no penalty up until the Hebrews said, we work for what we get. We'll work to be your friend. We'll work for your favor. Before that, God put in place the animal sacrifices, and until his promise that Satan would be crushed by the seed of the woman, which is also in the book, until his promise would come, all they had to do was kill an animal, spill an animal's blood, and we got off scot-free. So God has always wanted to love us and be our friend and get us off the hook.
It is interesting how there seems to be different interpretations of, dare I say, the personality of God when it comes to how people look at it through text and other things,
Yeah. Well, what do you mean by that? Because I find that I don't understand how they get his personality mixed up if they just read the Bible, because he clearly states his position throughout the Bible about how he feels about us. And I don't know, maybe you're talking about when he kills all the people, when he tells the Israelites, I think at the time with Solomon, and he tells them to kill, or Joshua, he tells them to kill everybody. Well, those people were having sex with animals. They were killing each other. It tells you that they were doing all of these bad things. And if the Israelites if they didn't kill them and get rid of them, once they came into the land of Canaan, the promised land, and they saw that those people were doing those things, they probably would start doing it too. And guess what? They did. They did start doing some of those things. They started worshiping animals. They started having sex with animals. They started committing adultery. And remember, the ultimate goal was for a virgin to have a child that was going to be the sacrifice to crush the head of the ultimate evil one. And how can you have a virgin if everybody's running around having sex with each other and animals? There wouldn't have been a virgin left to fulfill what God promised. And above all, God's going to keep his word. So for him to say, kill everything, that's why. And those people they're still fighting. Those are the descendants of the Arab population right now. And Israel and the Arabs are still fighting one another. Those are descendants of Ishmael. So that's that.
Yeah, I totally understand. So shifting gears a bit, talk about the inspiration about creating Above All. I mean, a lot of times there is kind of like a flash where you go, well, I have to get this out as soon as possible. Was it a theory that you built over a couple of years? Talk to me about how you wrote the book over time to make sure it was ready for market.
No, I'm a very busy physician, no intention. I was so busy that I had a hip surgery, and there was nobody to cover my patients. I was overnight doc, and I had to come back to work and in pain. And I wasn't able to take pain medicine. So one night I'm in the car room and I'm hurting so bad. that I'm just flipping through the channels, trying to find something on YouTube that'll get my mind off. And I ran across this sermon, this guy talking about Psalm 22, and it caught my attention because I know Psalm 23, the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, but I thought 22. So I thought I would listen. And as he was going through it, he talked about Jesus being on the cross. He talked about God delivering him and setting him on a path. It talked about him being abandoned by his father and giving the rest of the world a free pass. And he talks about Jesus going into hell. And while I was looking at this, I saw scenes. I actually saw scenes come up just in front of me, the scenes that were in the Psalm. I saw Jesus on the cross. I saw him taking on my pain, my actual pain, and all the pain from the world. I actually saw him do that. And when I saw him take the pain from hip surgery, from bones, because he talks about how his bones are being corrupted, my pain went away. It just went away because I just got so enmeshed and taken in by what Jesus was doing in his actual suffering that I could see, that I saw him take my pain, and I didn't have pain anymore. So then I just wrote down everything I saw, everything in the scenes. I just wrote it down, and I showed it to my best friend the next day, and I said, look, my pain went away. This is what Jesus did. Have you ever looked at this psalm? And she read it, and she said, you should do a book. I said, oh no, this is just for me. You know, the next time I have pain, I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to look at it. And as I looked at it every day, I would look at it and just fascinated by the things I saw, I began to feel the Holy Spirit telling me to write it as a book. I really did. And what he impressed upon me is if I spent 3 hours a day, I would have the book by my birthday, which would have been in about 3 months. So it only took me 3 months. Every time I sat down to write, I would get a chapter like there's a chapter on Mary, and I would hear Jesus talking about how he saw Mary accepting God's desire to impregnate her through the Holy Spirit. I saw her thinking about what she would be like as a mother. I saw scenes of him, Jesus, as a child and as a young man with his father Joseph, and what it must have been like for Joseph. And also there are things that the Lord showed me. A lot of times when we talk about Jesus and Mary, and we talk about the experience they had growing up, we talk about it from a perspective that he was shamed, that Mary was shamed. But first of all, she went away, and people don't show immediately. So when she came back, she was about 3 months. She came back from Elizabeth's house. Well, they had a lot of fabric. So you kind of didn't know whether or not she was pregnant. It doesn't say that people knew. It says that Joseph knew. It says that Elizabeth knew, her cousin, but it doesn't say that anybody else actually knows. And then she has to leave. They get married, and then she has to leave and go to Bethlehem. And the baby's born in Bethlehem, and I bring that out in my book. They really don't know when Jesus was born because he wasn't home. They weren't home. When they came back, he was 2 years old. And the Bible talks about him growing in stature and favor with man and God. It does not ever say that anyone shamed Mary or Jesus. It doesn't say that. We've just assumed that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I bring out in the book. I also, one of my other chapters that I really like is that God was a midwife to bring Jesus into the world. And we don't talk about that. And that's right there in that song. When I saw it, I was like, wow. And then I thought about, that's true, because back then, even if a woman was on her period, if there was any blood, a man couldn't come around. Other people couldn't come around her. So Joseph would not have been able to worship baby Jesus if he had delivered her, because he would have been made unclean. So God, above all, keeps his word and his laws, and he took care of that. He never shames us. He never causes us to have shame. That's not of God. He always puts us in the best light. Why would he tell us to think of others more highly than we think of ourselves, and then he shame us? That would, you wouldn't do that as a parent. You would set an example, and that's what God does. So that's just another example, and then throughout the book, I try to bring out, above all, that Jesus is demonstrating how we are to deal with the devil when he tries to put doubt in our minds about how God feels about us. And he uses the Bible, he uses the word, he uses what God says about us. He turns that back on the devil when he tries to put doubt in. It's too bad that Eve didn't have a Bible to turn it back on the devil. You
Mm-hmm.
know, she didn't wait long enough.
Right, right.
She went. So, and that's important. If we read our Bible with the respect, with the perspective to learn, me is what Jesus says, then we'll see, what does Jesus do when the devil comes at him. He tells him what God says about him. He tried to put doubt. If you're the Son of God, turn this stone into bread, when he knew Jesus was hungry, and that's in the book. Well, he doesn't do it. Why? He doesn't do it because, first of all, he knows what his mission is. He knows that he's not there. He's not on earth for himself. He's on earth to redeem mankind, to restore the relationship that God the Father wants to have with the man, without every year having to shed the blood of animals. So that's not the point. So he doesn't do it. And he tells the devil he doesn't do it. But the devil starts with, are you really the Son of God? And he just got up out of the water from being baptized when the heavens opened up and said, this is my beloved Son. I mean, he just said it. And the devil is so cunning, he comes right away and tries to put doubt in Jesus's mind. So, above all, again, Jesus shows us how we are to give the devil a comeback.
Yeah. And it's definitely one of the more thorough perspectives, which I do appreciate. Just from the scholarly side of it, you grew up with religious text, and you could read it dozens, if not hundreds, of times. There's always like a kind of moment of like appreciative discovery when you see or a new layer makes itself more apparent to you. And so Psalms 22, you're right. It's definitely not a Psalms that we get quoted nearly as much as other Psalms in its brethren. But now listening to you and going through the book, it really seems like it's been laid out for us for time immemorial.
It's all in there. And people say, well, it's all how you interpret. Why are you interpreting? Just read it. So, there's a mistake in the book. I mean, not in the book, but on the audio version. There is a
Okay.
mistake. Yeah, that I want to correct. It's at the timestamp of 9, I guess, colon 33, and it's in the chapter the sinful nature prevents obedience. I kind of give God credit for a miracle that didn't happen, and it's when he tells when he sends manna down, which I speak of it as bread down, and he tells the Hebrews not to say, not, to get it every day, so that they are depending on God every day. Well, they failed that test because some of them store it up, but that he tells them on the sixth day that they are to gather twice as much, so that they have some for the Sabbath and they don't have to gather it on the Sabbath. But on the audio version, I say that it miraculously doubles. So that's a little mistake. I gave God credit for miraculously doubling it when he doesn't. So
The book, above all, a special meditation and reflection on Psalm 22. Available now at your favorite bookstore. But if someone wanted to contact you, Doctor, and learn more about you and your perspective and things that you're working on right now, how do they go about doing that?
yes, you can. I have a website, and it's drsusanbailey.com. So you can contact me through the website. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the book. I do have another book that's coming up soon, and it's going to be all about miracles that have happened in my life, that I want to share, and let people know that these are not just the love of God showered on me, that these miracles are available to all of us if we believe.
Thank
And
you
my
so much.
email, if you'd like, the email is susanbaileymd@gmail.com. So
Yeah, please do. Please contact us. This is a spirited discussion. Thank you so much for your time, learning more about
thank
your
you
perspective
for
and how it came together.
having me.
Yeah, this is Global Book Network. My name is Boyce. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We'll be with you soon.